while. Sorry for the delay, the judges. We'll commence the session within a while.
Am I audible?
Yes.
Yes.
Good afternoon. Welcome to the finals of second international mediation competition organized by Kerala Law Academy Law College. Claimant, please state your team code.
Greetings, everyone. This is code MCJ, and we'll be representing the claimants.
Okay. Responding party, please state your team code.
Team code AB.
Okay. Mediator 1, please state your team code.
It's
D.
That's D. Okay, fine. And AB, that's. Thank you. So, participants may please note, I'm going to read the rules. The total allotted time for the competition is 1 hour 5 minutes. The first 5 minutes will be reserved for introduction and problem prompt. The next 50 minutes is for presentation. At the end of 55 minutes, 10 minutes will be provided for feedback session. At regular intervals, a court officer will be giving a verbal intimation as to the time remaining. The participants are to keep the video on at all times throughout the meeting. Any caucus session requested by a party will be included in the 55 minutes allotted for the session. Over to you, Ashwin.
Good afternoon, everyone. Today, we have with us the esteemed presence of the Honorable Panel of Judges. We have with us Dr. Anilji Variyat sir, Registrar, Maharashtra National Law University, Mumbai, Professor Dr. Sanuj Rajan, Distinguished Professor of International Law and Human Rights. We have also Dr. Praveen Tripathi, Associate Professor, Dharmashastra National Law University, Jabalpur. Judges are kindly requested to note, there will be a 10-minute feedback session. The feedback session will begin after a verbal intimation by the court officer. If a party opts for a caucus session, the opposite party will be moved to a break of room to ensure the confidentiality. Now, the caucus session will be for the maximum of 5 minutes. With your kind permission, shall we start the session, judges?
Yes, we can.
Sure, sir.
All right. So a very good afternoon to everyone. My name is Shivangi Gupta, and I, with my friend co-mediator, will be mediating the session today. Thank you for choosing us as your mediator. I want to assure you at the very beginning that because of the language barrier, I shall continue. So I just want to make it very clear at the very beginning that because of the accent issues or because of any other specific informational issues, you can feel free to reach out to us, and we will be more than happy to accommodate any such request. Also, of course, moving on, I would like to thank both the parties for taking out their precious time and committing to this session, that too on a Sunday. I know that this might not have been the most suitable day, but it itself shows the willingness of the party to solve the dispute amicably, and further it sets a very positive tone at the very beginning. Also, just to know who is who, we can just have a quick round of introduction that will merely include the names and the capacity that you are in. Starting with my co-mediator.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to this mediation session. I am Abhay Gupta. You can call me as co-mediator. You can call me as Miss Mediator, and I, along with my co-mediator, would be mediating this session.
Now the clients can introduce themselves.
Greetings, everyone. My name is Zara, and in this entire course of mediation session, you can call me Zara, and I'm authorized to take all the decisions on my behalf. Thank you.
Good afternoon, mediators.
Greetings, everyone. First of all, I hope
It's
may I?
okay.
Yeah, so I hope that everyone is in the pink of their health. I am Akshit Narula, the legal representative of Ms. Zara. I am here as a guide to my client, will be acting only in advisory and fiduciary capacity. I have no authority to take any decisions on behalf of my client. Whatever my client says would be reflecting what I say. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Rahul Shetty, and you can refer to me as Rahul.
Good afternoon, everyone. I am Tanishka Pawar, and you may refer to me as Ms. Tanishka in today's session. Today, I am here to assist my client, Mr. Rahul, as his counsel.
All right, so now I will quickly run you through some key features of this session that would make us have a productive session. So firstly, I understand that the issue at hand is very important for both the parties, hence confidentiality becomes very important in that case. So every word that you will speak in this meeting will remain within the four virtual walls of this meeting and remain completely confidential. The moderator is also making sure that nothing in this session is getting recorded. However, you might see the mediators will be making notes in between. That is just for our clarity purposes, and that will be destroyed at the end of the session by us. So anything that you will say will not be used against you as an evidence in the court of law. So please feel free to speak without having any preconceived notion. Secondly, I would like to highlight that there is no conflict of interest here. I, along with my co-mediator, are independent, impartial, and unbiased mediators, having no prior relationship with either of the parties. Could the parties affirm to that?
Yes, I can affirm to that.
All right. Also, this mediation process is a party-centered process, which means that at any given point of time during the proceeding, you can leave the proceeding voluntarily with the kind of solution that you both will agree upon amicably. You can even call out for the change in the mediator, but I really hope that that will not be the case in this session. Also, firstly, we will be giving both the parties an equal opportunity to speak, state their facts, their claims, what do you want to seek to achieve at the end of the session. Also, in the case of deadlock, on the request of the parties, or if the mediators personally feel, we can have a caucus session with either of the parties. So caucus session is nothing but we will be having a private session with both the parties to understand the matter in a more precise manner. Lastly, I would like to say that we will help the parties to come to a solution by using good negotiation techniques such as Batna, Vatna, and Malatna. At a later juncture of this proceedings, when we are using these negotiation techniques actively, we will be more than happy to make the clients understand what are these techniques exactly. I would like to highlight that mediators here are just in a facilitative role. We are not here as judges or an arbitrator. I really hope that at the end of the session, we come out as winners. Now, I would like to pass on the floor to my co-mediator, then we can get the proceedings off the ground.
Thank you so much, co-mediator. It has been very wonderfully explained by my mediator about the basic understanding of the procedure, but I would like you to explain, I will explain a little bit more upon this. First of all, I would like to congratulate both the parties for choosing mediation as their first ground to resolve conflict instead of litigation. I'm glad to see that both the parties are here to mediate and talk out their problems. The first step is mediation is coming to the table with an open mind. So I'll say that we are off to a great start. I hope both the parties have signed to the confidentiality agreement. A show of hands would clear the air. Thank you so much. That's wonderful. To help you, I will stress upon three things. One, your voluntary participation. The mediation process exists for your benefit, which is why it should be voluntary. I believe in making your own decisions by your own self-interest by examining your essential needs and position. Two, I will emphasize fairness. This means that I will treat each side equally and act only in the limits authorized. Three, confidentiality. This means that anything and everything you will tell us here will be will stay here only and cannot be testified against the court of law. Anything you will tell us will be inadmissible in the court of law as well. I will be making notes for this session and destroy it as soon as this session gets over. So you can trust us in this process that we are all in. Everything you tell us shall be out of will and not out of compulsion. You can also withdraw from this session if you want to. If at any given point of time you feel that we are being impartial, you can intervene us and we will address the problem. To us, your satisfaction is the ultimate goal. To brief you a little, we would like to explain how we will proceed so you know what is happening next. We will begin by asking each of you to explain exactly how you view things on the situation. We will try to understand best how it looks from your shoes. After that, we will identify and agree on what the basic issues of disagreement are. Then we will work together with you in examining exactly what you want from each other and what possible solutions might be available. Our goal is to help you find both a situation in which you both are comfortable. Before starting the mediation session, I would like to explain also the ground rules. Both the parties must be respectful to each other first and foremost. Please allow the parties to finish their views first. Everyone will get a chance to put forward their opinions. Also, please mute all your electronic devices throughout the mediation session. With that, since the claimants have initiated the mediation session, I would want the claimants to state their views first. Claimants, the floor is all yours.
Thank you, mediators, first and foremost, for giving us this safe harbor. Greetings, everyone. My name is Zara, and I'm here today because I believe that mediation is a powerful tool for solving disputes. At the very outset, I'd like to thank Rahul and her counsel and his counsel for agreeing to us for this mediation session. I think it was very much needed for the both of us. Just to clarify, throughout this entire session, I'd like to be addressed as Zara, and I confirm that I have all the authorities to take decisions on my behalf. I understand that the issues that we will be discussing are important for everyone involved in this entire process, and I want you to know that I am committed to finding a solution that meets my needs and also considering Rahul's needs. I believe that mediation, through this mediation process, it will provide us a unique opportunity to work collaboratively with Rahul and find a creative solution that may not have been possible in the traditional way. So during this process, I'd like to clarify that I will be open and honest about my needs and concerns while also actively listening to the other party. And I am committed to being respectful and humble. And as they say, great decisions come from good decisions. Talking about the facts of this case, I think the most important issue at hand today is that Rahul and I, we've been together for almost more than 15 years now. We have been together since high school. And I think right after high school, we decided to build a beautiful life together. And I think Rahul and I both were very confident about each other because we knew for the fact that everything that we were looking for in a partner, we had found it, right? At least I thought about it. I mean, it's everybody's dream to have a life partner who supports you throughout their life, right? And after we got married, I think that is exactly what we wanted, a beautiful life together. We wanted to build a family together, if I may call it, right? If we wanted a home together, we were not just looking to build a house, we were looking for a home. A home is a place that you feel safe the most, where your children grow in a safe harbor. And that is where me and Rahul were, on the same step. But I think after some time, we started facing certain duels. I mean, there were fights, but those were fights that we could easily get out. But you know what happens after a point of time, that fights are not being resolved. I think everybody, every couple in this world has fights, but what's most important is how would you resolve it, right? You cannot go to bed without actually solving a fight, right? That is the most important thing. That is the most important and the most strong pillar for a marriage, that even if fights happen, you have to resolve it, right? So I think that had started to lose its touch when Rahul and we could not just resolve our disputes. And I think I would not say that we were not happy from the very beginning. We were really happy. We were building and striving to build a life together. But when you don't actually want to have that emotional connect, your marriage starts to fall. And that is what has happened here. I think the most important thing is that there comes a saturation point in your life. And I think Rahul has reached that saturation point wherein he's not able to let it out. I think I have been very supportive of his career. I think I've been very supportive of him emotionally as well as physically. But I don't think he's trying to understand that anymore. I don't think he's trying to accept the fact that behind his success, I was there. I did not leave him when he had his bad days. But when I had my bad days, I don't think Rahul was ever here. Or when my children or our children were crying to bed, he was there to even ask them, are you even okay? So I think that's where we started to cut it off. I think we reached a point in our life where we were ready to accept divorce. But I just want to establish from this point onwards that I am not looking for a divorce. No, I do not want to get a divorce from Rahul. Why? Because I think it was my own choice and Rahul's own choice to have a life together, to build a life together. And I think the only problem that we're facing here is that we're not able to talk anymore. I don't think he is giving me that much time so that we can actually resolve the dispute. That is what we're looking for. That is what you look for in a marriage, right? To resolve disputes. You cannot go to bed with an angry mind. No, you fight, you talk, but you make it okay at the end of the day. And I think that is where we started to lose the sacrosanct touch of our marriage. So I think that is what I really want to briefly explain. And I think I would want to lay more stress on the agendas today rather than to accuse anybody of any allegations. I'm not here to do that. I'm only here to discuss and find an amicable solution. So further, my interest would be dealt by my counsel. Mr. Counsel, if you may.
Thank you, Zara. First of all, allow me to express my heartfelt gratitude towards both the parties for coming here today with open minds to resolve the problems that have arisen between the two. We appreciate Mr. Rahul and her counsel and his counsel for resorting to resolve this dispute by an ADR mechanism. As it stated, and intended benefits of speedy redressal, low cost, and deliberation is something, and which is something which we intend to get out of this session. I would also like to express my regards to both the esteemed mediators for bringing such positive energy into this round of mediation. And I'm certain that both of your expertise would help us in resolving this dispute amicably. I would request the mediators to be neutral, which I'm sure they will be. And I humbly pray that whatever is said in this session would be held in confidence. Now, we must understand that nothing has been agreed upon until everything has been agreed upon. So with this in mind, I would like to urge my client as well as the opposite parties, both the client and the counsel, to not to hold back, be open-minded and brainstorm solutions to this dispute and try to meet somewhere in between so that we can set this dispute aside and move on forward with our lives. Further, as far as my role as a counsel is concerned, as I've already stated, that I would be acting as a guide to my client, working only in advisory capacity and fiduciary capacity, obviously thereby acting for the best interest of my client. And I'll make sure, and I hope that my co-counsel, the counsel for Mr. Rahul, also tries not to make this process into a courtroom procedure. Further, now this entire process of mediation would be stirred by my client, obviously with the help of esteemed mediators. I will not be making any decisions on behalf of my client. Whatever my client says would be reflecting what I say. Now, so with this in mind, it must be considered that my client is an aggrieved individual who had faced a lot of hardships, as has been beautifully explained by my client. Now, due to the paucity of time, I won't go into the details of the same. However, I will quickly sum up what my client has said by putting forward the agendas which my client wishes to achieve out of this particular session of mediation. As has been said by my client, that we are not here for a divorce. But since my client has suffered a lot of hardships throughout this tenure of marriage, or we can say after a few beautiful years of marriage, this particular period of hardship started. What my client wishes out of this particular session, that we agree that my client, along with the children, live separately for some time in order to make Rahul understand what is the need and what a family is. And during this tenure of separation, my client will allow Mr. Rahul to meet the children at any given point of time he likes. He may meet the children at any given point of time, provided that he meets him in the household where Miss Zara is residing. Now, our next agenda would be that after we complete this tenure of separation, during reconciliation, what we want is to establish a memorandum of understanding between both the parties. Now, this memorandum of understanding, the terms of the memorandum of understanding are negotiable. However, we would set out 3 basic and major terms which would be the crux of the memorandum. First would be that both the parties share equal responsibility of the children, because it is the term used by my client is our children and not my children. Secondly, now since the property, now what is the scenario here is that the property which in which they are residing is a self-acquired property and not a co-partner property. Thereby, both of my client and Mr. Rahul have equally contributed towards purchasing this property. However, the property is in the name of Mr. Rahul. What we want is that after this tenure of separation, we would want that this particular property is converted from single ownership to joint ownership, whereby both the parties would have equal share in the property. This would be the second point. And now moving on to the last point, what is also currently happening here is that both my client and Mr. Rahul both are earning. However, what my client is earning is much less than what Mr. Rahul is earning. So they usually, both of them contribute 70% of their total income to mutual funds. Now, what we require is that to reduce this amount from 70% to 30% each, because spending 70% of the entire income of my client would leave her with nothing. So this is what would be our agendas. And lastly, I would also say that although this session of mediation does not necessarily need an application or of legal or legislative standpoint, still I would like to put it across this table in front of the esteemed mediators that in case the interests of my client are affected at any given point of time, I would like to turn to the intent of law in such a situation. So with this in mind, I'll hand over this process to the esteemed mediators. Thank you for patiently listening to me throughout, and I hope this session of mediation turns out to be fruitful for both of us. Thank you so much.
All right. So now I would just like to summarize the facts of Ms. Zara, that Ms. Zara and Mr. Rahul were high school lovers and they have been married since past 15 years. And you wanted to build a home, and that and after which you even shifted to a home, and there were certain conflicts between you two, and resolving the disputes had become really difficult between the two of you. Also, Mr. Rahul has reached a saturation point whereby you are not able to discuss anything and your communication skills have gone for a complete toss. So also Ms. Zara mentioned that she is not willing to have a divorce, which is a very positive thing. Now I would like to lay down the agenda that is spoken by the counsel of Ms. Zara. Firstly, it is that the client and children must stay separately for some period, whereby Mr. Rahul can contemplate what their relationship actually is, and Mr. Rahul can meet the children at any given point of time. The second agenda was laid down was that there must be a memorandum of understanding and it must be established by both the parties. Also, the 3 sub-points that were mentioned were that firstly, there must be an equal responsibility that both the spouses will share. Secondly, the self-acquired property's ownership should be changed to joint ownership, and the mutual fund amount should be reduced to 30% from 70%. Am I right? All right. Now I would like Mr. Rahul to state his facts.
Thank you, Madam Mediators. Before I begin, I believe Tanishka, my counsel, you had a few things to add on.
Yes.
If with the permission of the mediators, if you can
Yes,
go.
yes, sure.
Okay. Thank you, Madam Mediators, and also Mr. Rahul for giving me this opportunity. I would like to express my gratitude to both the mediators for lucidly expressing and explaining the process of mediation to us. And I'm sure that those who are new to this process feel a lot more reassured now and are way more comfortable than what we were in previously. Secondly, for clarity's sake, I would like to mention that in this mediation proceeding, I shall not hold any authoritative capacity to make any decision, any sort of decision, I repeat, for my client or on behalf of my client, and I am here solely on a representative capacity. Furthermore, although I know I'm going way back, but I believe that both the mediators have done a commendable job on the fact that everything will be confidential today. I would still want to reiterate the same because I believe it's a very personal issue, and confidentiality is something that is of utmost importance for my client. And I'm very sure same is with Zara. So can both the mediators affirm to it once again?
Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. Further, thank you, Zara, and counsel for Miss Zara for bringing the issue in table. And I believe that it is a great opportunity that you have shown the spirit of mediation today. So with that in mind, I would urge my client, Mr. Rahul and also Zara to, not hold back with any sort of facts or any story that is hidden, because we are here with an open mind. And like Mr. Counsel has already mentioned that we are open to all type of propositions and offers to make this mediation a great success. So I'll be looking forward to the same. Talking about Rahul, so Rahul and I are obviously very glad to be here today, and I hope that with the help of our mediators, we'll reach an amicable solution and resolve the issue in hand that has unfortunately arisen between these two. I would be in a great position to help Mr. Rahul in an advisory capacity and provide him a helping hand that he actually might need in the real course of work. And apart from this, we can be rest assured that my client is the one who will play the steering role today, and I shall have no alternative role to play. And if I could be a few other words, I would just want to say that I truly understand what essence the mediation proceeding gets to the table, and it does not require any legal inputs. So I would ask Mr. Counsel to refrain from any legal inputs unless and until it's required to an extent where the issue in hand grows more complex. Secondly, I am also here to ensure that no rights of my clients have been infringed upon. And secondly, the legal correctness of today's session. That is the main role I will play today. And I'll also lay down the agendas, but that would be after Mr. Rahul plays down his side of the story, because he is in a better position to explain that because he has lived that past. So over to you, Mr. Rahul. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Tanishka. Firstly, I would like to thank Madam Mediators for taking out the time and being here and assisting us in resolving our dispute. We are really indebted to you. I would also like to extend my gratitude to Zara to make this enormous effort to settle this issue via mediation instead of getting into the hassle of litigation and avoiding that, as my learned counsel has already explained me. We have shared a deep relationship and a marriage for so many years, which I do not want to compromise on at all. Everyone faces some issues in their marriage, but I do understand the importance of, involving elements, external elements of third parties, such as you mediators, when matters go out of hand. I was going to my counsel mentioned that Rahul and I are delighted to be here, but unfortunately, that's not the case. I was delighted to be here until Zara spoke up her opening statement. I mean, memorandum of understanding and this and that. You've reduced our marriage to a piece of paper. I mean, to begin with, whatever Zara stated is true. We met in high school. We fell in love. She was the first woman I had ever fallen in love with, and got married. I'm a very open-minded and forwarded person. I do not believe in any kind of orthodoxy, narrow-mindedness. Generally people in India, some cultural differences that might arise, but before marrying Zara, I had just placed one condition before her, that she would not stop working. Like, I continuously wanted her to work, to build her career. I wanted her to feel empowered and, to build a sense of freedom in her. I just basically I wanted her to be who she was. I never wanted to change her. With respect to our children, coming to our children, I've always focused on their well-being. With my job at a government bank, I understand that it is a little difficult to spend more time with them because of my job constraints, but I try my best. I believe somewhere in between, I might have neglected Zara a little bit. I mean, but all of this cannot be used as an excuse for what behavior she is, showing towards me at this stage of our marriage. Uh, I I wanted to say a few things, but I think Zara has said enough for the both of us. I mean, I've noted a few things down which really baffled my mind. I mean, not able to resolve conflicts, no emotional connect. I have reached a saturation point. I was not there for her at her worst. Children crying and going to bed. I just want to ask Zara, uh, why do you think that happened? Zara has laid down all the problems that we faced in our marriage. I just want to ask her why. Why did these problems arise in the first place? I mean, uh, because you are saying that both of us are working, that does not mean that just because I am working more than you or I am earning more than you, that I get to be, I get to have the upper hand in this marriage. Both of us have an equal role to play in this marriage. The children were going to bed crying because you were misbehaving with them. You were continuously being cruel to them. You were raising your hand on them. I was not there at home to be with them because I was working. Zara's the council for Zara mentioned that 70% of our incomes go to mutual funds. Uh, that is true. But given that Zara earns a little lesser than me, she never spends a penny of her income on anything. I have always provided for all of her needs happily, and I will continue to do so till the end of our marriage, till the end of my life, even. I will not stop doing that because that is what it means to be a man, to be able to provide, to be able to support your family in times of need. And I have continuously done that. Maybe I have neglected Zara a little bit because of our children, because of my time constraints. I have a nine to five job. I come home, I have to work overtime, I have to spend time with my children. They're small, they ask for me. And maybe I have neglected Zara. But these issues, I have reached a saturation point. Why is that? Because of the continuous nagging that you should earn more, you should provide for us more. I can't go out anywhere. I mean, I don't even remember the last time we had gone to see a movie together. Zara always wants to go out with her friends, never wants to spend time with me, always neglects the children. Twice, the principal of their school has called me just to make sure that they have reached home because I had gone to pick them up because Zara was so late. I mean, she has neglected and been irresponsible towards our children to an extent that I cannot even fathom. And now reducing our marriage to a piece of paper, it's it's really unbelievable. Anyway, uh, I genuinely thank you though for mentioning that you don't want a divorce. Actually, this was it just reminds me of something that when we had decided to get married, on the day of our marriage, just half an hour before we were about to get married, I just went up to her and I met her and we decided that we would never mention, joke about, or even talk about the word divorce in our marriage. Uh, we had seen our friends who would just joke about things like how guys when they meet up they say ki, oh if I did that my wife would divorce me. We didn't make those kind of jokes because that was not an option for us and that is still not an option for us now. So I really thank you for that, but uh, I genuinely think that you should rethink whatever you have stated, whatever your council has stated in these proceedings about reducing a marriage to a paperwork. It's really hurtful and it honestly it's not looking good. Thank you, mediators, for giving me this opportunity to speak my heart out. I'm feeling much lighter now.
Just to sum up what the respondents have said is that you do not want to compromise on the marriage either. That is a good gesture by Rahul, and that it is difficult for you to give time to the children because of your 9 to 5 job and its constraints that comes along with it. And you also stated that Zara does not want to spend any penny on household chores as well. And continuous nagging by Zara has also reflected that you are working overtime, and that Zara is negligent towards the children, and she hits them also. Is that correct, Mr. Rahul?
Yes, and just so I don't forget, or my counsel doesn't forget, the counsel for Zara, he mentioned that, Ashit, if I'm not wrong, he mentioned that our house was in my name, but probably it's because, again, of the negligence of Zara or the irresponsible nature that she carries with her, that she's not aware of this. But 5 years ago, I had gotten the registration of a house changed to both of our names, and I'll even go to the extent of saying that I'm even ready to completely change the registration of a house to completely her name if that's able to save our marriage.
All right. Now, like the counsel of Mr. Rahul to state the agenda. Ms. Tanishka, I think you're not audible.
Am I audible now?
Yes.
Yes.
I'm so sorry. So firstly, thank you, Madam Mediator and Mr. Rahul, for facilitating this thing to me. But before getting into the agendas, I really want to put forth certain points, Madam Mediators, if I may add. Because I really feel that mediation not become a manipulation tool. It must become a born in mind that the aim of the mediation is not merely reconciliation, but also to satisfy what psychological needs both the parties have in this session. As per my understanding, the agendas laid down by Ms. Zara's counsel are about memorandum of understanding, are about mutual funds, are about keeping the children and the wife away from Mr. Rahul. I truly do not understand the essence, because before taking such drastic steps, or even to encourage such discussion in this session, would lead to nothing but mere escalation of the situation. Instead, when I lay down agendas for Mr. Rahul, I would like to keep in mind the psychological factors that are very important in a mediation session. So moving further, I would like to put forth my client's interest and state 3 main agendas. First being, we would like to discuss on length why Ms. Zara has shown a cruel treatment towards the children, time and again raised hand on her, on them, neglected her responsibility towards the children. Second is, we seek from this mediation proceeding further is that Mrs. Zara agrees to ensure my client that she would resume back and support my client. Like already mentioned, Ms. Zara has been on sabbatical, which I might try to understand could be for various reasons, and I'm empathetic towards that. But it's a real request from my client's end to terminate that sabbatical and get back to work and support my client financially. Third is, we seek to get assurance from Mrs. Zara's side that she would not engage herself in constant nagging and constant mental torture, and especially in front of the children, because it is not just about the home, like Miss Zara said. It's about the background that they set for the children, and I truly believe that would play a very important role. So I'm looking forward to discuss these agendas. And that being said, I would like to ask the counsel for Ms. Zara to state if there are any common grounds that we shall explore in this mediation.
Just to interrupt before, I'm so sorry, Mr. I would just like to, I'll just briefly explain what agendas have been put forth by the respondents so that you are clear on what you have to say next. It is that discuss the cruel treatment that Ms. Zara shows towards your children, and that how she has neglected the children, and that the second agenda is that she...
Please, the remaining time is 20 minutes.
Okay, thank you. and ensures that Zara supports Rahul financially. And the third agenda is that she gives an assurance that she won't nag Rahul or cause mental trauma to Rahul. Is that right, Mr. Rahul and his counsel, Tanishka?
Yes, mental torture in front of the children, because it's an important aspect that my clients consider.
Okay, mental torture towards the children.
Also, to add on to the second agenda, that Zara must resume working and end her sabbatical. Currently, she's on a sabbatical, right?
Yes, she's on a sabbatical as mentioned by my client. It could be for any reason that I might not be able to disclose here for the reasons of confidentiality. But if Ms. Zara is very sure that she wants to, I would be open for the same discussion.
Right. Now, I would like to ask Mr. Counsel to elaborate the common grounds or the common agenda for the session today. We can start with Ms. Zara.
Ms. Mediator, before we do that, can I just have an
Yeah,
opinion?
sure.
Can I just list on my... Okay. So I think Rahul had really some big statements to say. I think talking about equality and then stating to be a man and provide for his family really gives out an idea as to what he's looking in this marriage. Talking about my constant behavior with the children, I just want to ask him, where were you when all these things were happening? Were you even home to look at these things, what the children were doing? Were you even here to ask me as to how I was behaving, as to why I was behaving like this? Did you even try to ask me, console me once? If you could have only spoken this amount of words when we were living together than in the mediation session, I don't think there would have been a need to come to this mediation session. I think saying I have a 9 to 5 job, you can come home at 6, you can come home at 7. Why do you come home at 11? Why do you have to come home at 10? And then ask me, is everything okay? No, everything is not okay. You're never home to make it okay. And I think a marriage starts to fall when the person thinks everything is perfect. Him thinking that our marriage is perfectly fine actually makes me question that, do you really think it's fine? Have you been neglecting how things have been happening? Have you been asking the children, how are they doing at school? No, because you're never here. I just don't understand. We live together. We can talk together. We do not even have dinner together anymore. Why? Because he's constantly on his phone. I had taken work from home for my children. I am not on sabbatical. I've taken work from my children. I've taken 2 days off because I could not take the pressure from office and what has been happening in my personal life. Did Rahul even console me once? Did he even ask me once? No. He could go out, have drinks with his friends, but he could never come home to me and ask me how I was doing. And then accusing me of nagging. What do you expect from a person when the person you love the most is not here to ask you, what are you even doing? How are you even feeling? I mean, these are the basic things that you look for in a partner. To constantly just ask you, to reassure you that I'm here for you. And I don't think Rahul has ever done that. I think to provide for the family is not something what it takes. No. I think I am saving up for my children. Has he been saving up for our children? No. He has been spending his money. And I think the bone of contention has been when I ask him for the money, that my savings are actually going for the mutual fund that you had planned. The home we got, I provided for it. I contributed for it equally. I supported him in his career when he was actually falling down. So accusing me of constant nagging, and he thinks that everything is perfect. No, everything is not perfect. Everything cannot be perfect when you don't even have the time to ask the person, how are you even feeling? These are the
Ms.
basic
Zara, we
things that we look for.
completely empathize with you. I would like you to please calm down. Counsel, please lay down the common
Yeah.
agenda.
Before
Madam
starting with the
Mediator,
common agendas, I'm so sorry to interrupt, but thank you, Madam Mediator, for actually pointing that out. I understand that you're driven with emotions and it has taken a lot of courage to put that on the table. But I don't think that the true essence of mediation is to get aggressive with emotions. I request the client to calm down a little and not intimidate my client. I totally empathize and I am with your feelings. I understand what you have been through, what both the parties have been through, but intimidating my client is not something I would,
Ms.
I would be
Mediator,
okay with.
I think when you think of marrying someone, I think Rahul knew the basic nature that I had. And I think coming to the mediation session and then accusing you of something that he already knew doesn't make it right. Okay.
I understand. I truly
And
understand. But
just putting out my emotions doesn't make me angry. I have an opinion of my own. I have a certain way of expressing myself. That doesn't make me angry.
I would just
I
like
think
to interrupt
Rahul had a
both the
certain way
parties.
of expressing himself. I have a certain way of expressing myself. That does not make me angry. I'm really
I
sorry.
would just like to interrupt both the parties to be respectful towards each other at all times and show good consensus so that we can arrive to a common solution. With that being said, it has been pointed out by Zara that she was not on sabbatical but just working from home to take the pressure off, just to be noted by the other side also, because this is a point mentioned by Rahul and his counsel. So just was just to mention it. Counsel, you may please go ahead. Tanishka.
Tanishka,
Ms.
is it
Mediator,
okay
may
if
I?
we can? I'm so
Mr.
sorry to interrupt,
Rahul, may I
but
please?
is it
It
okay
has
if we
been
can
speak.
speak with the mediators personally for a few moments?
Yeah,
Yes,
before
Really
that,
need to.
I would just like Mr. Rahul's counsel to just lay down the common agenda first, so
Ms.
that.
Mediator, I was asked to lay down the common
Okay,
agenda,
yeah, yes.
and I've
Please
been
lay down the common
interrupted
agenda, and then we can
again
proceed.
and again.
Yes, yes.
Yeah. So first of all, I would like to point out to the counsel of Mr. Rahul that expressing your feelings in a mediation session is not intimidating, what Mrs. Counsel mentioned. Had it been a courtroom, we would have looked into our behavior. We would have to be in a proper conduct. But it is a mediation session. The parties are communicating between each other about their feelings. Expressing what my client feels is not intimidating. Now, secondly, to go on with the aspect of common agenda, what I feel after looking into the agendas as laid down by Mr. Rahul and his counsel, that what common agenda I see is that neither of the parties are ready for a divorce. Both of the parties want that the marriage shall continue. However, the terms which Mr. Rahul's counsel has mentioned, that there shall be no cruel treatment. We also mentioned that our memorandum of understanding shall contain the fact that both the parents shall be equally responsible to the children. Now, if it is the sole mother who is looking into the children, a mother's natural instinct is that she will scold, she will love. We cannot call it a cruel treatment. But if Mr. Rahul is not present, how will he know what is scolding and what is cruel treatment? So what I say is that what I understand that there are two common agendas. That first of all, that we will not, neither of the parties require a divorce. And secondly is that we shall both look into the children equally. Both of us shall have equal responsibility towards the children. And with respect to the fact that going back to work, that has already been cleared by my client, that she is on a work from home and not a sabbatical. Secondly, and no nagging, and my client shall give no nagging. I would like to clear that for nagging to happen, the presence of the opposite party, Mr. Rahul, is essential. Mr. Rahul is not at home. They barely talk. The question of nagging does not arise over here. What we say is that we stick to the two agendas. Rest, I'll leave it to the council because we are open to negotiation. We're not stringent on any particular condition.
Okay, the common ground set.
Ms. Mediator, can we have a private caucus first? If the claimants can have a private caucus.
I had already asked for
but it was asked
caucus,
by the respondents first.
Okay, after the respondents we can do.
But I would just like to state the common grounds being called up by the council as requested by Ms. Tanishka is that neither party wants to have a divorce and that both the parties shall pay equal attention to the children. Is that agreed by both the parties?
I would just like
Ms. Mediator. Yes,
okay. Thank you so much.
It's mentioned by the counsel of Ms. Zara. So I would like to ask Tanishka if she wants to add anything else in the common agenda.
No, I would like to proceed with the caucus session and therefore derive if there are any further.
Sure.
All right.
The participants and judges are requested to wait till the host moves the opposite party to the breakout room.
I think we are in the private caucus.
Yes, yes.
We welcome you, the respondents, to the private caucus. This is to remind you that private caucus brings with it the extra added layer of confidentiality, and anything and everything we discuss in the private caucus shall not be discussed in the joint session without your permission. This space brings you a safe environment to discuss anything that you think cannot be discussed in the joint session. With that, if my co-mediator wants to add anything.
No, I would just like to ask the respondent to start with whatever he wants to say.
The table is all yours, respondents.
So after whatever has been said by Zara, I think she is highly, she has a big misconception about how things are working in our household. I mean, there are several things that she is not aware about at all. She's asking me again and again, why are you not at home? Why do you come at 10? Why do you come at 11? To provide for my family, for which I have done for more than 15 years, for my children, for their school fees, for their basic necessities, I have had to work overtime for so long that she does not even have an idea. After I come home, whether I come home at 9, whether I come home at 10, or whether I come home at 11, there is a constant state of nagging. There is a constant state of ruckus at the house. My children never want to be with her. They always want to be with me. Just the other day, my little one, she's a little girl, she's only 10 years old, and she asked me, Papa, can I come to work with you? I don't want to stay at home. I mean, what do you make of something like that? It's unbelievable how her anger issues are being displayed in this mediation proceeding as well. I mean, we had a chat a few days ago, and we had spoken about her anger issues, and she just threw it up in the air and said that I've had it all under control. I'm taking my medicines, but it doesn't seem like they are in control. I absolutely cannot subject my children to this kind of behavior. The kind of anger, the kind of aggression that she has shown in this mediation proceeding with mediators here and our lawyers here, mediators, you can imagine the kind of treatment she shows to our children at home. I mean, about our home, it's actually funny. I did not want to make Zara feel bad about her earning less money than me. So I told her while buying our home that our home costs much less than what it actually costs for, so that we could equally contribute an amount, and the amount that was remaining I had to pay out of my own pocket. So I haven't told. I would really appreciate if you would not mention this in front of her. Otherwise, that would break her heart, and I don't want to do that. As much as there may be problems between us, I don't want to. I really want her to resolve her personal issues, her anger management. She's been going to counseling for a long period of time for her anger issues, and the counselor has advised her to stay away from the children for a while, to stay away from me, because she has herself acknowledged her anger issues. I mean, I don't know, Tanishka, if I'm allowed to say all this over here, but she even tried to hit me with a pan once, and I just barely managed to save myself. So I'm in a constant state of fear. I'm in a constant state of, I'm just so, I don't have words to express myself anymore, because I don't have anyone to talk to. I completely suppress myself in my work, and then I come home and then I have to look into this. So lastly, I would like to say the agenda and whatever the council for Zara was talking about, I'll make it very clear. I'm not signing any memorandum of understanding. Kanishka, I'm making it very clear.
Yes, sir.
I'm not reducing my marriage to a piece of paper. I will never do that. No
All right.
matter what issues Zara has, her anger issues, her personal issues, she comes up to me one day and just randomly pops this question up to me that, go find yourself a lawyer. We are going for mediation. This is not how this works. I will not sign any
Sorry to
NDA
interject you. We completely empathize with you. We understand that you have been working overtime and there has been a constant nagging by Miss Zara after you come home, and it's really difficult for you to handle that situation. There has been a lot of anger issues that Miss Zara is going through. So I would just like to ask that Ms. Zara's counsel mentioned that, maybe you can live separately for some time and the kids can stay with Ms. Zara. But since she has anger issues, I would suggest that the kids could stay with your family members and you both could stay separately for, some period of time, and you can figure out where you're
Participants may please
going.
note that the allotted 5 minutes is over.
Okay,
I would just like to ask the parties that is there any information that you would like to disclose?
Yeah, just that I am open to the idea of us living together, but provided on two conditions: that she continues her counseling for her anger management. I mean, mediators, you saw how aggressive she was even in the mediation proceedings. So you can imagine what behavior she throws at us at home towards her children.
Yes.
And I'm not signing any memorandum of understanding, and I'm not going to reduce my marriage to a piece of paper. I'm not staying away from my children, and I'm not letting Zara live
Completely get
alone
it.
with my
We
children.
completely get it.
But what we are trying to propose here is that you can stay separately with not with Ms. Zara. You can stay separately, and you can figure out that where your marriage is actually going. And while that this process is going on, your children, both the children, can stay with either of your family members. So you both can stay separately, and there won't be any anger issues that the children will have to face too
The
in this
participants
process.
may please note that the allotted time is over.
We can discuss this
Okay.
in the joint session further.
All
Yes,
are
Thank you
requested
so
to
much.
wait
I
till
don't
the host moves the other party back to the current session.
Okay, then. We will discuss this in the private joint session.
Joint session, yes.
Ms. Mediator, if we can have a private caucus.
Sure.
Thank
Yes.
you. Thank you.
The judges and participants are requested to wait till the host moves the opposite party to the breakout room. The participants may please note the allotted time is only 5 minutes.
We welcome you, claimants, to the private caucus. This is to remind you that the private caucus brings with it the extra added layer of confidentiality, and anything and everything we discuss in the private caucus shall not be discussed in the joint session without your permission. This space brings you a safe environment to discuss anything that you think cannot be discussed in the joint session. With that, if co-mediator allows, the table is all yours.
Yes.
Thank you. I think first and foremost, one thing that I could not even put forth in the joint session was, I think I've been accused of so many things, my constant nagging, my constant irritation. I think that comes from a very deep patch that I have, and I don't think I can ever let go of it. And the reason why I have it is because we could not really even talk about it, because Rahul becomes just so irritated about it. So a few months back, I mean, not a few months back, I would say a few months back, I had caught him talking to another woman. And I think the chats that were presented, I don't think they were very innocent, if I may put it correctly. And this particular issue, I mean, since Rahul is accusing me of getting away from the marriage, or, my constant nag and my constant irritation, and that I've been cruel, I think that thing really brings up.
Excuse me, sorry to interrupt. The participants may please note, for the main session, there is only 5 minutes remaining.
Okay. So when you love someone so much and you caught him red-handed talking to another woman, and there is even no proper way of addressing it. And to save my marriage, I have not even told him this, that I actually caught him red-handed. I have not even told him this. I just knew that there is a woman in his life now that he's been constantly busy with. That is why he's not able to come home at time. I mean, he gets free at 5. What does it? How much time does it take for you to reach from Noida sector 137 to 143? Literally 15 minutes.
Yeah, I would like to add in over here. Mr. Rahul had mentioned that he has been working overtime. And
Ms. Mediator, if I may just take my time first, and then you can please sum it up, because I think what's important is that clients speak and then mediators can sum it up.
Ms.
Please.
Mediator, this you could tell us in the joint session as well.
Please, thank you.
Yeah,
I think
I
I'd like to
completely
have my time.
understand. But
Thank you.
due to the paucity of time, we
I
were
understand, but
just.
I think you
I'm really
said
sorry.
very boldly that we'll be given equal amount of time. I think they've taken 7 minutes for the joint session and not been able to speak for 2 minutes.
Yes,
So
sure.
please, if you could just cooperate. Thank you. Right. So I think when you try to save a marriage, I think these all factors become very important. And I think me not addressing this problem in front of Rahul really talks about my foothold in this marriage, that I have not been able to talk to him even about these issues, right? So I am only with my kids. My kids are the only source of happiness that I have. And I think I would now want to preserve it. I think there comes a saturation point in your life when for the past 2-3 years you've not been able to reconcile. Why? Because the other party is not ready to listen to you. He does not even come home and ask, are you okay? I mean, what did you do the entire day? What did the kids do? Nothing. He just comes home, eats his dinner, goes back to his room, and he's constantly chatting with somebody. But I am a very private person myself, and I don't mean to interfere with anybody's privacy. I have not checked his phone, but I know for a fact that he's saying no. So I think this is not something that I want to discuss in the private session. But yes, if he's ready to reconcile, I think the only thing that I require from him is to understand what a family means. What does it take to build a family? What does it take to build a home? I think him thinking that it's all perfect. I think he's living in a fairyland, and I don't want to live in a fairyland anymore. Because
Is
I
there
am a
any
woman, I have my emotions. If I am disconnected from him emotionally, I'd want that. So I think the only reassurance that I want from him is to get back at that emotional connect that we had, to
All right.
ask me, to assure me that he's here for me. That is all we want from a marriage,
We
right?
completely empathize with you. I would just like to state here that you mentioned regarding the memorandum of understanding, which is something that Mr. Rahul is not willing to do, since he does not want your marriage to just come down to a piece of paper. So, are you okay with that? And we can just stick to
Mr.
the emotional turmoil
Miss Zara,
and yeah.
Miss Zara, may I, if you
Yes, please, Mr. Counsel. Yes, absolutely.
so, Miss Mediator, with this respect, I would like to say that a memorandum of understanding is not in a stringent sense. What we want is that there should be clear terms. But I guess they also require that there should be no nagging, going back to work. What we require is just simple agreement between the two parties that he will also look into the children. He will the house would be converted into joint ownership, which I guess Mr. Rahul has done it.
Mr.
Also,
Yeah, I would just like to add over here that this was addressed by Mr. Rahul. He said that it has already been in the joint ownership aspect only. It is not
Mediator,
co-ownership.
is it something you want
The
to tell us?
participants will please
If
note
you want.
allotted time for conversation is over.
So
I would
Mediator,
just
just
like to
summing up,
ask both
Miss
the
Mediator,
parties,
just summing up. Yes, just
any
summing up.
point that you would want to discuss in the joint session?
Yes, we are open to talk about not having a memorandum of understanding,
All right.
but the time thing that we specified, having to live separately, that is what we want. But I
Yes,
am
yes.
okay with the fact that if he comes to the conditions that okay, I would give I would not be neglecting towards Zara. I would not be neglecting my kids. I think if he understands that, I think we'd be open to settle. That
Regarding
is
it,
all we want.
regarding that thing, we have proposed a solution and we'll be discussing in the joint session. Thank you so much.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much, parties.
All are requested to wait till the host moves the other party back to the current session.
We have arrived to the private to the joint session. I would just like to mention the private.
No, not yet.
The allotted time for the main session is only 1 minute.
Okay, I would just like to state what the parties of the claimants have stated is that they are open to talk about not having a memorandum of understanding with the conditions that the Zara and her children and your children are not being neglected, and what the respondents council has stated that they are not signing a memorandum of understanding to reduce it to a piece of paper, and that if Zara continues to having the anger management classes, then they would like to pass they would like to continue on the marriage. Is that right, both the parties, if I'm not wrong?
Yes.
Also, I would like to point out one thing that I truly understand what kind of subservient nature my client is coming from. And it speaks a lot about his heart and from where he's coming. The calm and composite nature of a person should not be overshadowed in this mediation proceeding. Moreover, it's important that feelings and emotions should be addressed. It is a mediation session. It should be addressed without a doubt. But keeping them in control, considering feelings for the other person, inherent nature.
The allotted time is over.
Okay, so I think we have made it a successful session. And
I think we have concluded on agenda 1, if I think so. If the parties would agree to it.
That both of you will live separately for some time?
Live separately for some time, and a memorandum of association would, memorandum of understanding would not be taken into consideration if the conditions are being put forward by Rahul. Is that right, both the parties?
I think
Yes.
what we mean by not having a memorandum of understanding is not putting forth our conditions, but we would not be signing anything for sure. But we will at least be binded towards it morally. That Rahul should at least understand. And Miss Counsel, if you're the only person who has suffered, I think the emotions take a toll. So I think you should understand that. His calm and composure is for a reason, because he doesn't understand my situation.
Participants may please
okay.
note the allotted time for the session is over.
With that, I would just like to state the few words of conclusion is that we have taken a giant leap today. We have taken a lot of points into consideration for further sessions. I'm proud that both the parties for keeping their points forward while respecting each other's opinions throughout the session. I'm optimistic that we will be able to reach a common solution soon. Thank you, Zara and Rahul and their counsels for taking their time out today. Today's session was a great success, and I look forward to meeting in the next
Thank you
session.
so much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Ms. Mediator. Thank you
Participants and judges may
for bringing
please
such
note.
positive energy into this round. Thank you.
The participants and judges may please note the feedback session begins.
Thank you.
Devika, so is it, the feedback session is for 10 minutes, I think.
Yes, sir. It's for 10 minutes.
10 minutes. Professor Varyat is also here, so I will request Professor Varyat, the senior. And
no, sir. You can go ahead.
thank you, sir. So, first of all, what I see personally at your age, I would not have been able to do all those negotiations. But yes, seeing you young minds working out the negotiation skills is very interesting to see how you perceive the negotiation. One very important fact which I've seen throughout the process, that you have avoided to talk on law and you have restricted yourself to the facts. And that I think that consistently throughout the session was happening, that you are trying to mediate only on the facts, not to bring any other law, not even to ask the law, or not even to bother about under which law the family got married. And that's a good thing that you have brought about there. There are, as I see the process went on long, and finally the outcome was not which we were expecting. So the outcome was somewhere the parties have taken their positions in a manner which was there. So if I go from the beginning, okay, now from the beginning, one thing which is there with respect to, so it's just a feedback.